Kraven's Goon Squad, huh? Which supervillain are you hunting this time?
Okay, so some context. I like games to be challenging, but I also don't like boring sponge combat. This often leads to me playing games with both player and enemy health scaled very low. Now, when I first tried Spider-Man 2, I knew I had to crank those suckers as far as I could because it was A, brain dead easy, and B, took like an hour to beat up a level 1 goon. However, what I didn't realize when I made this decision is what it would do to my game. I turned it into a Soulslike. As with any game, the first thing I did after starting Spider-Man 2 was browse Nexus mods for stuff that explicitly makes the game better. I found some mods to fix the web swinging and give you control over when you release, as well as some stuff to make some of the outfits less ugly. What I couldn't find, however, was anything that increased the player's damage. I had already tried using the in-game difficulty settings to make the combat faster and deadlier, but they didn't even get me to Batman Arkham speed, and I was still slapping sponges with wet noodles. Then, I had an idea. What if I used a trainer to reduce my health? It worked perfectly. I died within a few hits, making me actually have to dodge every attack instead of just being able to coast dodging like 95% like before. And my reward? A lot more damage. It was smooth in a way I never felt in my unmodded playthrough of the first game. I even had to save my gadgets for the most opportune times to avoid the risk of starting an encounter over, instead of how I played Spider-Man 1 where I completely forgot they existed half the time and just punched people. It also disincentivized the game's mediocre stealth, because I no longer felt like I had to use it to skip the tedious grind of massive enemy health bars, and made the exaggerated knockback reactions deal a more believable amount of damage, and made me feel like Spider-Man instead of like dodge guy. But then, one small issue. Undodgeable attacks. Whatever sick and twisted psychopath thought to put undodgeable attacks in a Spider-Man game consisting of exclusively very obviously dodgeable attacks should be put in the raft. In every other situation of the game, parrying is basically just dodging but harder and worse, so of course I don't use it. But on the hardest difficulty, when that yellow thing flashes up with at times less than half a second to ready the button, I never use with appropriate timing, and after the enemy winds up an attack I was preparing to dodge, I usually get smoked. The thing is, these undodgeable attacks also do a lot more damage, which in my situation means I die instantly. Combine that with the fact I can dodge before the yellow flashes and then still be locked in an animation until it hits me, and every time a boss comes up, it was an entirely different genre. Now before you say skill issue, it's not like I'm a baby gamer. I play my games on the hardest difficulty that doesn't remove the HUD, and I have almost 500 hours in Elden Ring, mind you. Believe me when I say that the lizard fight was rough. For such a massive boss, his attacks have very little telegraphing, and this was a problem I faced with most of the bosses in the game. I'm not sure whether the difficulty settings did that, or if they just expect you to have enough health to tank stuff. Naturally, many of the bosses in the game have undodgeable attacks in their arsenal, and some of them make sort of sense, like an explosion or heat-seeking goo tendrils, but the lizard swiping his tail? I think I've seen Spider-Man dodge that move in every piece of lizard media ever made. Like, his whole thing is dodging. The game is barely even an Arkham-like. So, okay, fine, whatever, I'll parry everything and have no fun. Slight issue. Unparryable attacks. Attacks that seem to come out even faster than normal, and require you to dodge them. They can't be parried because it's a video game or something, and they use a red indicator for every other attack already, so this one is blue. I'll make sure to just rewire my brain real quick to do a backflip whenever I see a blue halo. I think the only reason I haven't heard anyone else complain about this is because in the base game, you can basically just tank every single special attack with your massive health bar and regeneration. But not me. I die. Anyways, now's a good time to mention some of the other mods I installed. There were some aforementioned ones about outfit fixes and swinging improvement that are pretty self-explanatory and work together well, but don't think I didn't also include a few fun ones. Ah, see? This is pretty cool, right? Fine, I guess we can go back to the actual game. I'd begun to grow accustomed to the extremely cool abilities of the symbiote suit, my favorite of which being the one where you grab literally everyone you can see and slam them into the map. It does so little damage that even with my modifications it barely did more than group some enemies together, but like, look at the sheer aura of it. Eventually I reached the next hurdle, the next great filter. But it wasn't really the boss, it was just one move. Kraven's iconic choke slam that instantly kills you. The fun thing about Kraven's iconic choke slam that instantly kills you is that it has an extremely short telegraph and then instantly kills you. I counted the milliseconds. It's actually less than half a second that it gives you to react. Less than the average boss telegraph in Elden Ring for sure. Now you might hear some criticism from me in this video and think, hey, didn't you make it that way? Aren't you the one who ungratefully and disgracefully disturbed the delicate balance of Insomniac's modern masterpiece? Well, yes, But that's not the part that I had issues with. Of course it was going to be hard, that's what I wanted, but a lot of the issues I faced were less to do with Spider-Man 2 being a delicate flower balancing on a thumbtack, and more to do with deeply rooted design flaws. Ones that seemingly go unnoticed because of just how easy it's supposed to be. Is it wrong to want video games to be more stimulating than a winning hand of solitaire? The only way that you can actually motivate normal players to experience the full breadth of a game is by making it in a way that they have to. You can dump a bunch of tutorial pop-ups on someone and hope they understand everything that makes your game special. But if they're able to make it through every level with just 2 buttons, you better understand that that's what most of them are going to do, and that's not their fault, it's yours. I beat him though, by the way, and later when I got to trounce him and rip off his head as Venom, and that was fun. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right after the Kraven fight was one that, while maybe the hardest I'd done yet, actually felt more fair. It was, of course, the fight with Peter. As you can see in the B-roll, I was getting absolutely thrashed by this guy, even with gadgets and bells and all. I really had to think and time all my abilities just right to avoid getting ragdolled into a concrete barrier. I recorded a lot of death footage for this fight, partly because I realized I was going to make a video, partly because it was really funny watching my guy get tossed like a salad, and third partly because I died many times. I started to not mind really. This fight was really fun for some reason, and I got into a sort of flow state almost. Not in how well I was playing, but just enjoying the game and the way that I made it. And, oh, wait, yeah. I think I had a bit to drink that night. That makes sense. Eventually I rang the bell for the last time, and then rang Peter's bell. The Venom section was kind of a breath of fresh air. I felt it was fair enough that it was supposed to be pretty easy to chew through some guards when you're 10 feet of horrendously strong gelatinous ooze. Just an aside, but I have no idea why we only get to do this for like 10 minutes of gameplay. Really the most fun part of the game gets held back by just how short it is. But I have a solution to this problem too. I downloaded a mod that allows playing as Venom in free roam, like the short that I uploaded last month. And then also a skin. See? Pretty cool, right? Like he's anti-Venom because Pete has the white suit. Yeah, alright, I turned this off pretty quickly, this didn't feel right. I ended up having a surprising amount of difficulty with the new symbiote enemies at this point in the game, but definitely in a good way. They're unpredictable and challenging in a way that none of the human enemies are, and it led to me needing to keep on my toes instead of just spamming the web zip attack every time I wasn't sure what to do. Since some enemy types will actually dodge and respond with a quick attack, they kind of struck a perfect difficulty balance for my setup. And I loved just how many would be on screen at once, like I was playing Vampire Survivors but with gameplay. Oh, I just said the quiet part out loud, didn't I? Oopsie. Anyways, as the city turned all gooey like Web of Shadows and Mild donned the most atrocious fit of his life, I knew I was approaching the final boss, and I was ready. I would soon learn the severity of my hubris. Immediately after the first boss cutscene ended, I got floor to ceiling pounded by the sledgehammer. Venom is a highly varied boss, with many different phases and abilities, most of which one-shot me. First it was like a normal boss, dodging, attacking, failing the parry timing. Then he turned into floor teeth while I was zipping to him, and I got atomically disassembled. But once you reduce his health bar enough, the game has you change locations, and that's when things get bad. I don't think a word exists in the English language to describe what happened to me, but the only word-like noise that comes to mind is throngled. Venom wouldn't just pack me up, he would style on me. He'd ragdoll me to the other side of the arena, do execution finishers, skill shot me from like 200 feet away. It was demoralizing. While there was a helpful checkpoint before the second phase, I don't know how I would have been able to beat him without it. It also started with him being armored against all but anti-venom attacks, which I had to charge by attacking the chaff enemies, so I had to constantly divide my attention between the hulking, writhing, killy goo mass and a bunch of mosquitoes with a concealed carry permit. Not to mention, of course, how he also had a lot of undodgeable and unparryable attacks. Many of my abilities wouldn't even stun him on a hit, so he'd often actually kill me during a special attack. Of course, coming out fast enough that he could start his attack after I started mine and hit me while it was locked in the animation, as per usual. Finally, I managed to combo string and dodge my way through his health bar. I was done. Then I had to fight him as Miles, and it forced me to wear the Colgate suit. And then Venom grew wings and started shooting at me. Somehow it was still easier than the last fight. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, because the last video essay I did got like 1% of the views the previous 5 videos did. I already had this like half finished, so what was I gonna do, not release it? But yeah, I'll probably be pivoting back to just VR stuff, because that's a good Venn diagram of fun and views at the moment. You can catch me streaming whenever I feel like it. I guess you'll need notifications on for that, huh? Subliminal messaging. Basically what I'm saying is, for real this time, subscribe for less of this.